Welcome back to the Podcast. I'm Coach Robbie, and across from me is my co-host Adam Nilsson. And this week we are back to talk about drag racing and stuff.
Coffee
and stuff.
Mostly.
And race cars are fun. Super fun.
Sure.
All the fun. They're so frustrating.
Yeah.
But we'll get into it.
Yeah. Robbie, what'd you get in the mail?
I got a gift.
A nice one.
Yeah, I appreciate this.
Yeah.
So a while back, a friend of the show who we met in NOLA when we were doing WRL stuff.
Oh, okay.
Goes by the name Jimmy Radiator on the Facebook.
Yes. Okay.
But he messaged me and asked for my address, which of course is always a bad idea. So naturally I just give it to him.
Yeah. As one does.
Yeah. If we're friends on Facebook. I mean, really, we're all on white pages, so it's not like you can't just look it up.
I mean, at this point, more people have it than don't.
Yeah, it's public knowledge. But it's like I send it to him, and then he says, "You'll be getting something in the mail." Well, obviously.
Oh, good. Can't wait. Usually,
no, it's good.
Not bad, or not a good thing.
No. So I end up getting coffee in the mail from Jeff Brown.
Which is such a weird thing.
Yep. So he brews coffee. If you listen to Slip Ankle Show, he's talked about it.
Or Dinner with Racers.
Or Dinner with Racers.
Who Jeff Brown is.
Yep. So I get it in the mail, and it's literally from Jeff Brown, and has his address, the whole thing. and then I get a pound of coffee, which apparently he roasts 1 pound at a time.
Oh, they're small batch roasted.
It's craft coffee, Adam.
That is some hipster shit right there.
It's pretty awesome. So
I feel like it's not hipster from him.
No,
but it's hipster shit.
It's kind of some hipster stuff.
Yeah.
Craft coffee is kind of hipster.
Oh yeah, especially small batch.
Yep. So I was gonna brew a fresh batch of pot of coffee.
It would be wasted on me,
and I was gonna have you try it.
It would be wasted on me,
but I decided not to waste any of it on you.
I am not in any way upset by that. It would be totally wasted on me.
Yep. So
I wouldn't know it from canned Folgers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that would be a huge waste on me.
Plus, you would have hated every second of it anyways.
I don't know if I would or not. To be completely honest with you, I don't know that I've ever had any.
I feel confident in telling you this.
It's probably super bitter, and I'm not.
You won't
not
like
into it. Yeah.
You like Rooster Booster. You don't like coffee.
I had a Rooster Booster yesterday.
All right, we're on the same page here.
I went into QT yesterday with every intention of buying the largest fountain Rooster Booster that they would sell me. And their Rooster Booster and their Rooster Booster Light, which I wouldn't drink anyway, because I don't want that sugar-free horse shit.
No, I want the real.
Yeah, straight to the veins, people. Let's do this. They were broken. Their taps were broken. So I had to buy it in a can. I was like,
well, I mean, to be fair, it's better in a can.
It is better in a can, but
you get less of it.
In some situations, I'm more of a quantity over quality guy. And yesterday, I needed the quantity more than the quality.
We've all had those days. Seems to be a lot recently, but we all have those days.
Yeah. So
this shows up. It's a pound of coffee in a bag, and it comes with this. Actually, it comes with a couple things. So it comes with 2 hero cards from CrowdStrike Racing. So it talks about the LMP2 24-hour winner. So that's cool.
Yep.
And then also the number 4 CrowdStrike AMG GT3.
So it dawned on me while you were
holding it,
running away here, just right before we started. Since their name is CrowdStrike, they should have Mustangs.
You would think, yeah. Maybe next year with the new.
There you go with the new GT3 car.
Yep. So then it also has this paper, and we'll get to that in a second. And then it comes with this handwritten note. It says Robbie! ! Your friend, Jimmy Radiator, not really his name, sent this to you. Enjoy, Jeff Brown. And it's signed on a sticky note.
That's so cool.
Which means it's going to go on the wall.
It's so cool.
So if you wanted to, I have an autograph. And the best part
isn't it kind of ironic that he probably has as big a fan club as some drivers?
Yeah, for sure.
Or more drivers. All because of podcasting.
The fun part was on the bag. It's got a custom printed label. It has my name on it and 10 Cent Podcast on it. So he's aware of us.
Right.
So we should just reach. We need to reach out.
Bad,
and then of course he's an engineer. So I have this pro tips to get the most from your coffee, and it's 9 bullet points. One, the valve on the back of the bag is a one-way valve designed to let carbon dioxide escape from the freshly roasted beans and allow them to degas. Did you know that, Adam? That's nice.
I don't know that I've ever seen a bag with a valve on it, I guess.
Every coffee bag ever.
Oh, really? Is that a thing?
It's a thing.
Oh.
I've
only seen my coffee in large
tubs.
aluminum cans.
Then talks about like you don't want to let it sit for more than 6 to 12 hours, so only grind the beans before you're about to use them.
So you have to grind them? They're not pre-ground?
No!
Oh, okay.
I have a very fancy coffee grinder.
Do you?
I do. I paid good money for it.
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, then he goes into it and talks about the best to use the coffee within 14 days of the roast date, which won't be a problem.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so then he just goes in. It's best to use one of our Atmos vacuum canisters. So apparently I need to get an Atmos canister. And then he goes to talk about, he's got a website for other brew method suggestions. So it's Mesa Vista Coffee. Pretty awesome.
Is it really good?
It's good. It's very good coffee. It's an excellent cup of coffee. I
have so little experience in the coffee world that, I mean, I'm sure that there's a tasteable difference.
Oh, yeah. It's like wine where someone could be like, these beans are from wherever.
Right. But
roasted
like,
to this.
Yeah. That's a bit extreme. But,
yeah. But there are people that do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was an excellent cup of coffee. I really appreciate it. It was a very nice gift and a nice surprise to an otherwise long and demanding week.
Yeah. Yeah.
But since I know you don't like coffee or assume you don't like coffee or wouldn't appreciate a good cup of coffee.
No, I would not. It would be wasted on me.
I decided that I'll let you try something else.
Oh, good. Can't wait. What horse shit have you brought me today, Robbie? I see Brewing Company on it already, so I'm already annoyed by this.
So, as you know,
yeah,
we're sober, me and you.
Yeah.
And there's never been a better time to be sober and also like beer.
So I've heard.
So, Athletic Brewing Company isn't a company that only makes non-alcoholic brews.
Where are they out of?
The East Coast, I think.
Oh, okay. They're not a local thing?
No.
Okay. That's all I care about. I just thought it was maybe a local company.
Thought it was... Oh, no, it's California. Milford, Connecticut, or California. I don't know which one's where they're actually brewing it at. Do you like lemons?
Sure.
All right.
Why not?
Well, this one came out recently.
Like a good lemon-lime-based soda?
It's called the Ripe Pursuit.
Some lemonade, maybe?
It's a non-alcoholic lemon radler, which is basically
a
lemon beer.
Okay.
There's one from
Is it very lemony?
Very lemony. It's a lemon punch to the mouth. Adam.
Is this going to does it overshadow the beer?
I promise you, you will not have a beer taste.
So is this going to be my favorite bullshit drink I've ever drank?
Maybe.
Okay. I mean, that's a pretty low bar. Damn. It's a crisp pop.
It's fresh.
Yeah.
So there is another lemon radler that it's from Europe. I can't remember it's one of the oldest breweries in the world, and it's another non-alcoholic lemon radler.
Okay.
Totally different vibe. That one's more just like
a hint of lemon.
It's more of like a bitter, more of an actual radler taste.
Okay.
This one is more like a very lemony drink. It's very citrusy.
Okay.
Not very beery.
Okay.
Which is why
I support this.
Which is why I actually can, like, if this was an IPA, I wouldn't even bother.
Okay.
But because we tried it last weekend when I was hanging out with Booney, I was like, I'll just buy these. These sound good. Because I was looking for NA Coronas to bring to the party.
Okay.
And they were all out. So I bought this instead. And we were all shocked at the taste.
Oh, okay.
And I said, Adam needs to try this.
Pleasantly surprised.
We were. And then I said, Adam needs to try this.
Okay.
And then...
It still pours like a beer.
Well, yeah, it's still a brew.
Yeah.
It smells lemony, huh?
It's not as lemony as I expected to smell.
Well, it's still a brew.
To smell. Huh.
Don't worry, it's got less than 0.5% of alcohol. Which is less than a banana, just so we're clear.
Okay.
I know you're really you were really worried about that. I know.
Is that a thing?
It's a thing. Really? There's more alcohol in a banana than there is in this.
I didn't know bananas were alcoholic.
They're not, but there's There's like natural alcohols in a banana.
I just thought it was potassium.
Nope, there's more to it.
Oh, okay.
All right.
It smells. I don't know what I smell. It's very strange.
It is Right Pursuit is based on a simple belief: the juice is always worth the squeeze. It's a lemon-infused Radler-style brew, bursting with citrus and balanced with the light sweetness, smooth and zesty. They got
a lot of buzzwords.
Yeah, they got like exclamation points and spots.
You're reading this in a really uncomfortable position.
Yeah, and it's written weird. Smooth and zesty with a moderate haze. It's about refreshing as it gets. Cheers.
Okay. Oh, wow, it is lemony.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot more sour than I ever would have expected. For a Radler, it's very sour.
I know. That's almost like lemon juice.
Yeah,
and I barely taste any sort of beer hoppiness.
Yeah, it honestly, it tastes like a very sour lemon. There's a little bit of a hop.
That's a little bit of a kick.
Uh-huh. We were really impressed.
Huh.
I legitimately thought you might actually like it.
I don't know that I would drink this,
but
I'm not mad about it.
No.
It's not offensive.
I like it a lot.
It's a lot better than that hoppy refresher crap.
There's a lot more flavor. Like a lot more flavor.
Oh, man.
It's sour.
Yeah, it is.
I'm surprised it's not labeled as a sour, honestly.
You feel it in the jaw.
Yeah. It's almost like...
man.
It's almost like...
That's the first time I've ever taken a second sip of one of these sorts of things, Robbie.
That is true. It almost tastes like a yellow, one of those warheads.
Yeah.
It kind of tastes like that, but in a drink form. It's actually... It probably tastes...
It's not nearly as sweet.
No.
There's no sweetness to it. It's straight sour. Yeah.
I enjoy it.
I don't hate it.
No. And you can't drink beer all day if you don't start in the morning.
I just feel like I could not drink this.
10 of these?
Like, you know how Dalton drinks just beer after beer after beer? I could not do that consecutively with this, for sure.
Well, I can't do that with, any. Look, even non-alcoholic beers. I'll drink, 2.
Right.
And then I'm like, that's enough. I'll go back to Liquid Death.
I feel like this isn't... I feel like beer would sit heavy in my stomach.
It does.
And this probably wouldn't.
Yeah, it's light.
But it's very sour.
It's 100 calories, so I mean it's technically a light beer.
Huh. Yeah.
It's
very it's very sour.
Yep.
That's not the worst thing I've ever drank.
But yeah, if you like sour beers or those type of sour sodas, that type of stuff, yeah, Athletic Brewing Ripe Pursuit. I was impressed. I was impressed. Then I drank 3 of them while we watched the boxing matches.
Woof. Woof. That's better than I expected, Robbie. Kudos.
I aim to please.
Yeah, that's what it is. Historically, that's been the case for sure. So, anyway, do you want to talk about your Z a little bit real quick, or are we just like, nah, fuck that thing?
Nah, we can do a quick update.
Okay.
I mean, no one cares. I even have a poster that says that in the wall.
That's not true, Robbie. People care.
Somebody cares.
I care.
Yeah, so where we left off was at Road America. I broke the housing of my fuel pumps because I was investigating a fuel starve issue.
Yes.
So ordered a replacement fuel pump housing.
Just a OEM factory replacement?
No. I bought a non-OEM factory replacement.
Okay. So but still like a plastic one.
Brand new plastic.
Okay.
Had a bunch of good reviews. I knew I wasn't going to use the fuel pumps anyways.
I didn't know if someone made an aluminum welded replacement that you're not going to have to worry about breaking fuel fittings on.
No, because even the Radium swirl pot setup puts an aluminum swirl pot on the passenger saddle and still pumps into the OEM bucket.
Oh, really?
And then you still pump through that. So then, regardless, I would have to have a new one of these.
Okay.
Because I did kind of consider, I was like, we're already here. Why don't I just fucking go that far?
Right.
But yeah, Joe, my tuner, basically talked me out of it. It's like, let's just try to fix it first before we go throwing everything at it.
Yeah, let's not fire the parts cannon quite yet.
He didn't completely talk me out of it because I did replace both fuel pumps because I was already in there. I'm like, fuck it, we're just gonna
Yeah.
At least replace all this. Because, like, as you saw when I was inside, like, pulling all the wiring and looking at it, that I don't know if it was the 85 or just gas in general, because I don't think it was the right. I don't think the company that makes the Starve kit uses the right type of wiring with the conductor on the edge of it. What do you want to call that? The loom. No, fuck, what is that word?
I don't know.
The plastic that goes around the insulation. They don't use the right kind of insulation.
Oh, yeah. Because you have to use like a very specific type of wire
For gas.
Fuel is
Corrosive.
shockingly not
Yep.
corrosive.
You don't say.
Yeah, and it's really hard on the wrong plastics.
Yep. So, and I think that's why when I was looking at it, every time I would basically touch the edge of the fuel tank, it would like rip the insulation off.
Yeah.
And you saw it, and you're like, man,
Yeah.
you're destroying that shit. And
Yeah.
like it also just kind of fell apart in my hands.
Yeah, which is scary because now you have the potential to have an exposed conductor in a fuel tank.
Yep. So, replaced all the wiring in there because I ordered the right stuff. Ordered the right heat shrink because there are different types of heat shrink.
Heat shrinks, yep.
Yep. So I got that. So I completely redid all the wiring. Ordered a new housing, like the pole pump assembly, and then because OEM it has a returnless fuel system. Mine was set up for return because it was a big turbo car
Because it
back
used to be a big turbo car.
and I wasn't about to like reinvent all that. I was like, and it's working, so we're just gonna stick with that. So I had to.
So you didn't want to go back to a returnless system?
No,
Okay.
I'll just stick with what we got.
I didn't know if there was an advantage at lower power. I don't really understand fuel systems that well, to be completely
I don't
honest
have
with
a
you.
good answer as to what.
So like I don't.
if it makes a difference.
In my mind, I feel like you almost have to have a return of some sort, but
Yeah, because like the 240 was a returnless with the LS setup.
Yeah.
But this, I don't know, this. I don't. Someone more smarter than me can tell you that what the nuances of the two. But it was return style. I was going to keep it return style.
okay.
So I started disassembling the housing, getting it all set up. Took the old fuel pump out, and it was kind of corroded. Had a bunch of like literally corrosion on the surface.
That used to be an E85 car.
Yep. So I just looked at it, I was like, I don't like how this looks. So I ordered a brand new AEM. And then since I was on the other side, and because I had broken the little peg off the bottom where the suction piece goes, I was like, well, fuck it. Let's get another one of them too. Because the Walbro, what was that? The 270, whatever. Well, anyways, the Walbro fuel pump that was in there before, a replacement one was like $70. I'm like, all right, well, let's get a new one of those.
Yeah.
Get a new AEM on this side. What? Brand new fuel pumps.
Smaller fuel pumps are not that expensive.
No, that's where I was at. I was like, even if like, let's just remove some doubt.
If you're only like trying to get up to say 400 or 500 horsepower, a fuel pump isn't that expensive.
No, not at all. Because like even the AEM was like 160. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I replaced both of them while I was in there. Had the housing all set up. I drilled my hole to get the return line all set up where it needed to be, and then there's another part that kind of goes in the bottom, and you basically remove the little check valve thing that's in there, and then you plug in this plug that basically goes to a hose, and then that's when I realized that the OEM and the non-OEM are different. So I completely cannibalized this fuel sender setup, only to realize that I had to have an OEM setup. So I looked at it, a brand new OEM setup is $350.
Oof, of course it is.
So I ordered a used
Christ.
one for $100.
Yeah.
That was like out of a wrecked car. It was in great shape. Don't get me wrong.
So I know there's Nissan put the VQ in fucking everything. Do you have to have a 350Z fuel pump bracket system, or is it the same in most of these cars?
I don't think it's the same because
I get that the saddle tank is probably
different.
Not
and
same,
every fuel tank is probably a different height.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
But yeah, there's a salvage place just like a few hours south of here that had one.
Oh, okay.
For like I think it was like maybe $100 shipped, and it was in like A plus degree.
Okay.
And it was in perfect condition.
Right.
So I then did everything twice. Installed everything.
I mean, if you're going to do it well, you just will do it twice, right?
Yeah, so I screwed it up on the first one with the second one in, and then got it all done. Started the car up, Immediately had a check engine light, ran like dog shit.
Yeah.
And this is where I was, and this is where I texted you. I was like, "Do you remember what the fuel pressure was?" And we both explicitly remembered it being at 40.
I remember being right at
40 psi.
Yep.
And it seemed to be a little higher, like probably maybe not all the way to 50, but it sure seemed like it had bumped up quite a bit.
Okay.
So I talking to Joe and we said, well, it's tuned for 40 psi, so let's just dial the regulator back to 40 psi and see how it runs.
So you already have a manually adjustable fuel pressure regulator?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, like a Aeromotive, like it's
just a little screw tight.
It's yeah. I assume it's in still good shape. It's a nice regulator.
Right.
So dialed it back to 40 psi. Still no change. I was getting check engine lights, and it was saying like O2 sensor circuits, and it was like 4 different codes. I was like, what the fuck? So then I was thinking like, okay, what's that? Did we tune to a dying fuel pump? Like, did we have like what else is going on here? Like, so we did a bunch of logs, sent them off to Joe, and he responds with, "Your logs are hilarious." Fuck, fucking fuck.
Well, you tuned it, dick.
Yeah, never once did I question it being his tune. Even though I do appreciate the fact that he did question himself, thinking like
I know, but it's still funny. Like,
yeah. So obviously it was not that. So like he goes, well, let's do some sanity checks. So we were like swapping O2 sensors back and forth, checking that, and he's like, let's start by replacing. He said, I can't remember what bank one or O2 sensor one he wanted to replace. I was like, well, I know they're not OEM.
yeah.
So I'm just going to replace all of them with OEM.
Okay.
Just to remove all doubt.
Right.
So I did that.
I think, didn't that used to have a standalone in it?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure none of that stuff's factory.
Well, I when I put it together the first time, just to get it running, I know I didn't buy OEM.
Oh, okay. So they're not the ones that came with
no, because he had wideband. He didn't like.
Oh, right.
He didn't have anything set up for that.
Right.
So I would have bought stuff to get it running. So I know they weren't OEM, and I couldn't tell you what brand. Probably Chinesium.
Yeah,
probably.
whatever the cheapest eBay or Rock Auto could sell you.
GCS, if you will.
I don't. Oh, yep. Okay. Yep, I'm with you.
So someone will get that.
Careful, Robbie. We got in trouble on YouTube already for that sort of
generic Chinese shit. Anyways, so replaced them with OEM replacements. Immediately, the check engine light went away. Everything's running great. So somewhere between,
annoying.
so like I never had a check engine light at Road America for that.
Right.
So somewhere between when we were messing with the fuel pump to driving it on or dragging it onto the trailer, driving it onto the lift, my O2 sensors went out. No idea. So that was causing it all sorts of problems. And then yesterday I got the Innovate wideband installed just to verify that we are getting the readings that we supposed to be getting. So Smart. And it does. It's running fine. My readings are exactly where they're supposed to be. I haven't had a chance to go out and like test drive it to verify like if I still have fuel starve or not, which is gonna be really hard to do not on a track.
Yeah.
Which in all reality I probably can't do,
especially in our straight road world.
There is like if you take this blacktop,
I know, but it's like two pretty large radius sweeping. Like you can like 85% of the cars on the road could take without dropping cruise.
Yes,
at the speed limit.
There is one road on the way to Winterset that if I take it coming back this way, if I take that sweeping right hand at the speed limit and then basically floor it up the hill, I think that would replicate where I was seeing my problems. Okay. So it would be as close as I can without putting it on a track and without really breaking the law.
Right.
So I'm going to probably try that.
With the car that you don't even have titled in your name.
Shut up!
I mean, I'm not breaking the law.
It's insured.
I mean, yeah, sure. Okay, Robbie. Whatever lets you sleep at night.
It's got insurance on it. That's all that matters.
Will they cover it if it's not registered in your name?
I mean, it's insured in my name.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
I don't think they check the name on the title. I don't know. They made it. I've gone to the DMV or the courthouse 4 fucking times.
I know.
It's always been something.
I'm with you. I get it.
Well, then it was $350. But it had been so long. They're like, well, it's gonna be a $350 fine. But if you wait 2 more months, it's $50.
Right. Because that makes sense.
I'll clearly just wait 2 more months then. Because like even they told me to do it.
Because that makes sense.
And then that was when I bought the Mini. I've not been back to the courthouse since then.
Right.
And I'm not going to go just for the Z because who cares?
Right.
Yeah, so the Z's back together, it seems. Fuel pumps are fixed. O2 sensors are replaced. Seems to be running just fine. So, like a handful of days late, but would have been nice to have it at
at Hastings. You were there last weekend.
Yep, because Jess and I just worked grid and helped the whole weekend.
Right.
Which was a super fun weekend.
Have you been on that track?
No, I haven't.
No, really?
Nope, just been in the paddock.
At one point, Ryan and Dalton had bought. They have like a membership program.
Yeah, we took the
Dalton
flyer for it.
Have bought that at one point. Just it's not a close drive, but it's not outrageous.
4 hours.
That's not
bad
that
at all.
bad for us.
No, so I mean, Jess still wanted to go because she'd worked a bunch of nights that week. We'd hardly seen each other for like a week.
Yeah.
Just opposite schedules.
Right.
She's like, well, I still want to go because I was still going regardless, just to help.
Right.
I was like, well, I mean, yeah, we can sleep in a tent and
some level of obligations to that stuff.
I was like, then you can help if you want, or just hang out, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, she helped with tech and grid,
right?
As much as she could.
Right.
And then, I mean, she had a really good time, and then we just made a weekend of it and just spent Sunday in Omaha.
I know.
So
you went to the zoo
without you.
Fucking prick.
It was nice.
The jungle's been closed for like
No,
months.
it wasn't. It was open.
I know. Well, basically, like if the jungle's not open, I won't go. That's just
I don't
how
blame
feel
you
about it because that's where the Arapaima are, and that's what I want to see.
There was a lot of them, Adam. They're big.
They're so big, Robbie.
So big and
so incredible. They're literally my favorite fish in the whole world.
I don't blame you. They're neat.
The coolest.
They are neat.
So cool.
Yeah. So
anyway,
hopefully, have the car at RPM. You can start kind of doing the final sorting of that, and then start tearing it apart for the winter.
I mean, do you have a list?
I do.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough.
I have like 3 lists. I have immediate lists, which is going to be what I'm going to do over the winter before first race of next season.
Okay.
The HR swap list.
Okay.
To go to the HR swap.
Yep.
And then
that's list 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
that's not the immediate list.
No. The immediate list is just stuff to maintain with the engine I got, and then other upgrades that I can do that would be regardless of what engine I have in the car.
Right.
And then the next step, if that engine blows up, would be the HR swap. Which is really fucking annoying because there's one for sale in Oskaloosa right now.
The swap or the engine?
The whole swap. The whole fucking swap.
Is it a reasonable price?
If I hadn't just spent all this money, yes. I would have probably just went
Even if got your back, Robbie.
Even if I just let it sit and then got to it eventually,
Right,
it's still a fair price.
The firm's got your back, Robbie.
PayPal credit does too. 6 months no interest.
OnlyFans will help you pay that off real quick.
I don't think guys make near as much money on that.
I didn't say that, did I?
Yeah. I don't know if Jess is going to be willing to do that for help racing.
You don't have to tell her.
I think that's illegal, Adam.
So there's that one, I saw one where it's like a husband and wife, right? And she's like, oh, like we got a notification that all of our house is paid off and all that. And he's like, yeah, it's weird, right? And he's like taking pictures of her feet when she's not paying attention. Like, yeah, smart.
I would gladly sell pictures of my feet. I wouldn't even care.
Yeah.
But then the third list is I want to do something wild. I want a 9,000 RPM high compression VQ just because.
Okay. Yeah.
I cannot fucking get it out of my head.
I like it.
Because the weird thing though, right now, the pistons, the cams, and like everything except the rods are available on Marketplace right now from like multiple people. But it's for the DE, and I don't want to invest that much money into a DE.
Right.
But at the same time, Jeremy Salinas down in Kansas City has one that's seized up sitting in his shop. He's like, you just have this.
A DE?
A DE.
Okay.
And I was like, so
if
I could get a
built devil's advocate here, Robbie. I get that the HR is a better motor out of the box.
Agreed.
But if it's a built motor, does it matter?
I've had that same argument with myself, and I don't know. Because if I can get basically a free long block that needs to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
Get it machined, get it fixed, get everything it needs, replace the rods, the pistons, go to high compression, replace the cams, go to standalone, and then 300 and something odd 9,000 RPM VQ detuned to GLTC spec, what difference does it make?
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know exactly what the difference is between the HR and the DE.
Subtle differences, and then
But like people's always, I mean, I know the HR makes more power, and HR literally, if I understand this
it
correctly,
tunes
stands for high rev.
and it tunes better.
It tunes better because of the different ECU.
The dual throttle.
Oh, it has a dual throttle body setup.
Yes,
The intake manifold is two plenums.
Yes.
Okay. Big deal. You're going to put an aftermarket plenum on a 9,000 RPM motor anyway.
There is that, yeah.
So that's out the window.
So I've costed it out, and it's like, man, this would.
It's annoyingly not.
If I do it all myself,
The amount of stuff you have to change anyway at that point, it doesn't really make sense to even bother with the HR swap.
you and I think alike.
I'm not here, Robbie. I'm not here to help you make good decisions. I just want you to know that. I'm
putting it out there so people can tell me to stop thinking about it, because
I don't think that's what anybody who I've talked to that has listened to this show with any regularity is probably not going to tell you not to do that.
Joe listens to the show, so he'll text me and be like, I'm listening to the show, don't do it.
Yeah, because tuners are like, yeah, let's not build a 9,000 horsepower or 9,000 RPM high compression. He's a drift car tuner, Robbie. He's going to be like, fuck yeah, let's go, bro.
No, he's the first one to tell me to go to the HR over the DE.
Well, yeah, but that was when we were looking at stock motors. Now we're talking built motors. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. Gotta be fun. I mean, I can build an engine. I'm not worried about that. But just and it's to the point where like I've said earlier on the show, is like I'm never gonna be the pointy end of the stick of GLTC or any racing that I do.
Right.
I want to have fun. And a 9,000 RPM VQ sounds
Robbie.
fucking
That
fun.
Sounds fun.
So that's where it's like the smiles per dollar starts to make a lot of sense there until it explodes. But that's a whole different conversation.
That's future use problem, Robbie.
But yeah, no,
According to Joe, this one should have blown up already anyway. So
yeah, like 2.5 years ago.
So it's fine.
Yeah, I'm way ahead of the game.
Yeah, this engine doesn't owe you anything, Robbie. It's fine.
There is an engine in pieces in Omaha.
Here we go again.
But it's missing one of the heads for like $500.
How hard is it to get a head?
Not.
So they put the VQ in a ton of shit.
It's everywhere.
So the 3.5 liter that they put in an Altima or a Murano or whatever, is that the same
Basically, yeah.
part for part? Like the heads?
I wouldn't go with that.
Did they put an HR in those cars?
Some, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's there's all sorts of the 3.5 of that. So like if we're looking 0304,
yeah,
that VQ is basically the same across all of them.
Okay.
With some nuanced differences between the cars, and then same like with like 07 to 08 HR, it's just kind of the same thing.
Okay.
So if you pull it out of the Frontier, it's basically the same engine.
Okay.
A lot of the architecture is the same. I wouldn't say it's exactly part for part, but you could swap them in no problem.
Right. Because like if you buy a car with a motor without a head, but all the heads are the same, there's a billion of those engines out there. The heads shouldn't be that expensive.
There are. That was it too. Like if I take the Wiring Specialties already has the DE harnesses. They don't have the HR harnesses. So like they don't have an HR swap harness. So I could just be like, I could just buy the DE standalone setup.
Robbie, I've bad news for you, Robbie. I think you just need to cross out the HR list.
Just move on. Build your dumb DE. If anyone has a DE that they have parts for, or have like an engine that's just sitting in the back of your shop, you're like, I need to get this out of my shop, and I think Robbie will like this for $300.
Robbie needs.
Let me know. I will if I can get the parts where it makes sense to just be like, I can have a 9,000 RPM car for $3,000 here. Then it makes sense in parts.
Robbie needs some Hot Boy Cosworth parts on his car.
No, because that intake is $2,600 by itself, used.
Do we have a mutual friend who still has ITBs?
No, he sold them.
Damn it. Did he finally sell those?
I think he did.
I don't remember him selling them, I guess.
I remember him posting them. I guess I don't remember him selling them.
I don't know that he sold them. Because at one point he was trying to trade them to you or sell them to you or something not that long ago.
No, because if he still had them, he'd for sure be trying to sell them to me. Especially after this episode airs.
Well, I guess we'll find out here in a week then, won't we?
Tomorrow. We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, on his way home.
Yeah, he'll listen to it on the way home from Line Rock.
Probably.
Yeah, no, I don't know how I went down this rabbit hole, but the more I think about it, I was like, I can fucking do that.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do something silly, Robbie.
That sounds way more fun.
That does sound more fun.
Because if I'm gonna spend $5,000 on the next
a stock motor,
on a stock engine swap,
that's dumb.
Because like I can't use the same flywheel, I can't use the same clutch, I can't use the same radiator. Like it's just like it just nickels and dimes. These are like, this is the same fucking engine, and I can't use any of the same
It's
parts.
so dumb.
And if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I'm not throwing another stock ECU in. I'm going to go to a standalone. I'm going to get a clean harness. Like I'm going to take that step.
Right.
It's like, well, but I could do it at 9,000 RPMs, and that sounds fun.
That sounds way more fun. This isn't even a conversation.
So
anymore,
I do need somebody I need someone like Joe to be like, all right, here's the truth. You're an idiot.
But let's do it anyway.
Yeah. No, the pistons are in Minnesota. The cams are also in Minnesota. They're like literally a couple hours away.
There we go. See? Road trip.
Yeah.
We'll go fishing.
I'm down. I haven't fished in Minnesota in a long time.
I haven't illegally fished in Minnesota yet.
Yeah. I've never illegally fished in Minnesota. I've legally fished there because I had multiple licenses at one time.
Oh, yeah, I have not done that. So.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at with my weird thoughts.
Here's a weird fact for you, Robbie. Because your fuel pressure chat made me think about this. So you said your target fuel pressure is like 50 psi? 40 to 50 normally.
Yep.
My carbureted car, my Omni, that's like 4 psi.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like
and
no
like
psi.
6 psi, you'll like blow the seats out of the needle and valve setup, and it'll just fucking flood the car out, and it'll die.
Yep.
It's just it's weird. It's such a hilarious difference.
Yeah.
But then, like, apparently, direct injection is way up. It's like another giant leap up in fuel pressure.
Yep.
Because apparently that's really high fuel pressure.
Because like I was shopping around like just in case the regulator was bad too.
Yeah.
Like, just let's replace everything.
Right.
There's just like a lot of them start at 40. So like everything that was those aftermarket ones are meant for like high compression, high horsepower.
Yeah.
Turbo, whatever.
Right.
So it's like 40 to 180.
Yeah.
Oh, so I start at the bottom. We'll just tighten that screw all the way down. Got it.
I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that the fuel pressure regulator on my Omni has a range of 2 to 12 psi.
Yeah.
So.
And they cost the same.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it's probably the same parts, just a different thickness of spring or whatever.
Yeah.
Diaphragm.
Yeah. So, just a funny thing. Funny thought.
Yeah.
But radical differences. So,
yeah. But yeah, the Z's back together. Seems to be fine. I had Max weld up a wideband bung onto my exhaust, so I'm covered in fiberglass slivers.
Oh yeah, because it was all wrapped and shit.
Yeah. So Thursday
Poor
night.
Max.
Yeah, Thursday night. No, he didn't have to deal with any of that.
Oh, okay.
I took the header out Thursday night.
Unwrapped it.
No. I unwrapped the end of it where the bung's going.
Oh, okay.
So then took a picture and sent it to Joe and said, "Where do you recommend I put this bung?" And he circled on the picture and said, "Here." And then, of course, at least 10 degrees off center line so it doesn't get moisture on it.
Right.
So I knew that part from the instructions, but I just
Right.
So then I got it, brought it to Max. But yeah, I don't know if you've ever taken headers out of a VQ. Kind of fucking sucks.
Yeah, probably.
There's like 3 bolts that are just a gigantic pain in the ass.
Gross.
So it took me like an hour and a half.
You couldn't have talked Max into coming here?
And drag one of those gigantic TIG welders with him.
Oh, I don't know how big of a TIG welder.
They're industrial size. Like they have like
one of those goes in the van, doesn't it?
Probably.
You could have just
legitimately didn't even consider that.
Could have just ran into done it on the lift.
It would have been such a pain in the ass to get.
I suppose
because it's right by the frame rail.
You said it has to be.
It's at an angle,
like at an upward angle too. Okay.
So he would have had to like creep around behind. He probably could have done it, but it would have sucked. And of course that bung doesn't. It's just a universal bung, so it doesn't like align with the radius of the tube.
Right.
So you have to kind of fill that gap.
Right.
I mean, it's not much of a gap, but it's still a gap.
Yeah. And you want to make sure it's filled or
to
just blow it out.
Yep. So I brought it in, and then all he had to do was TIG weld that part, and then he's got a sticker on his toolbox that says "fuck engineers." So I always cover that with like magnets and stickers and stuff. He's sitting there welding. I'm like, fuck with this toolbox.
That's rude, Robbie.
I know he is rude.
You don't mess with a man's toolbox.
I can cover a sticker with a magnet of myself.
That's rude. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, so then I installed it last night and then verified everything was running like it should. But yeah, so I'm covered in fiberglass slivers. I even wore long sleeves and gloves, and I still just like made it through. It's like I was waiting for a delivery. I was waiting for them to show up because I got gloves on, and then not only that, because I kept every time I like stick my hand down, it would pull the sleeve up. So I like taped the sleeve to my glove, so my sleeves would stay all long. Yeah. But after you've rubbed your forearms against the header enough times, it just kind of makes it through and gets embedded in your arms.
Yep.
And then the worst part was that, like, basically from my eyebrow down to my my mouth on the right side of my face, I could just feel it because like every time I like scrape something, it would just like fall on my face.
Right.
So then I rubbed it into my eyes. And I was cursing the world and my life and my choices.
Your decisions and
I could be in the basement playing video games right now, but I'm out here putting fiberglass in my fucking eye.
Yeah.
Verbatim.
That seems fair. Sim racing is making more and more sense these days, Robbie.
You can spend just as much on that, but that
yeah, but it doesn't hurt you physically.
Oh yeah.
Emotionally, yes, obviously.
But you don't get to feel 9,000 RPMs, Adam.
No, you can listen to it.
That's not the same.
Put a butt shaker thing in the bottom.
Not the same, and you know it. And you know it.
You're right. We can try, though. We can try.
You know it's not the same.
It's not the same. 9,000 RPM would be fun.
Dude, right now, I cannot stop thinking about it. I want to do a 9,000 RPM VQ with a titanium exhaust. That's all I want.
I'm not here to talk you out of that, Robbie. Maybe the titanium exhaust thing, because that seems like
changes the sound.
I know it does.
It makes it way better.
I know, but it's a lot of money.
You're right.
So what I would recommend, just to be reasonable, let's get the motor built.
I already have the exhaust. Not the titanium, but I have an exhaust.
Use the exhaust you have.
Yeah, of course.
Get the motor built. We'll sort the bugs out, and then we can move to the titanium exhaust as time allows.
That'd be list 4. So like
that's fair.
Yeah, so
that's fair.
Yeah, so
technically it's list 2 because we've already 3 because we've killed 2 already.
Fair enough.
2 is dead.
So
it's gone to me. It doesn't exist.
There are a lot of DEs available within a 4-hour radius of here. I'm just saying.
I mean, you'd be dumb not to.
My marketplace is saved with all of them. Yeah. And if it wasn't for the HR that was like literally an hour away.
Yeah.
Man, I could make a 9,000 RPM HR, I guess.
Yeah, but then you'd have to spend all that money.
I know. Yeah, it's at least $2,000 of other stuff just to get it in the car.
Right. That's you're doubling your budget there, Robbie. It's unnecessary.
I agree.
It's wasted money.
Yep.
And just like your coffee machine.
And I know the DE.
We're not wasting money here, Robbie.
Nope. You're making fun of me because I stole that coffee maker from my ex-girlfriend in college?
No.
And I still have it?
Like we discussed before, you didn't steal it. She just never came back for it.
That's like this table. But
also, even though it's a pain in the ass, you refuse to not use it because then you'd have to buy one.
All right, back to the coffee discussion now that we can wrap up this whole little segment. So I have a coffee maker that was my ex-girlfriend's in college.
She donated it.
Well, to be fair, she hated it because it wasn't even hers to begin with. I think it was gifted to her by someone else who also bought it and realized I didn't really like it. So it's one of those like vacuum sealed, like containers. So when the coffee goes into it, it has like a screw on lid and it stays hot forever, right? But you're supposed to be able to like kind of loosen the cap and then pour your coffee, but it always makes a fucking mess.
Yeah,
like it doesn't work.
It's terrible.
Yeah, so it's just easier to just unscrew it completely and take the cap off, then pour. And I've used this every day for 10 years.
Right.
And it's not dead yet.
Right.
And
so heaven forbid that Robbie would replace it.
I'm more stubborn than it is difficult. And now I still keep it. The other day, I thought it was dying because I hit the button and it wouldn't brew. I was like, fuck, I gotta buy a coffee maker. Left it unplugged for a day, plugged it back in. We're good.
So, just out of curiosity, does Jess know the history?
Oh yeah.
She knows.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
No secrets.
Okay.
She knows that. She knows that this table was donated. She knows that.
We've made fun of this table. That was.
No, even she agrees.
That's
It's wasteful.
water.
It's wasteful to throw a good coffee maker away.
All right, that's fair.
We spent good money on a coffee grinder, but I'm not going to replace a good coffee.
Is
maker.
she a coffee drinker?
A little?
A little. Not like you.
No.
Not as much.
No.
Okay.
I mean, she drinks coffee like for the caffeine content.
Well, yeah, she's a nurse.
Yeah.
So
That works nights.
right.
So yeah.
So okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I didn't know if she knew the history.
No.
Some girls would be like, "We're throwing that away."
You can buy your own damn coffee maker. I'm not throwing that away. I'm made of money. I got 9,000 RPM VQs to build.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think I'm just going to throw that shit away out of your mind.
So anyway, I did a thing.
You did things.
So here, probably 2-3 months ago, my dad calls me. He's like, "Hey, one of my buddies here, where he lives in Missouri now. They were wanting to go to the NHRA Top Fuel event at Topeka."
Why? Because it's the last one ever?
We didn't know that at the time.
Oh.
So, but he had never been. The friend of my dad's had never been, and so my dad called me and he said, "Hey, do you want to go? Is Logan interested in going? Whatever." He's like, "It's a guys' weekend, so
it's gonna be awesome.
So I'll buy you and Logan tickets, but Katie's not coming.
Not allowed. No girls allowed."
All right, yeah, count us in. We'll do that, I guess. And I knew going into this that Logan probably wasn't going to love it.
I mean, he's been to Topeka and he did really good at Grid Life.
No. So my kid is he's very skittish. He's very cautious. He's very quick to get scared.
Okay.
And when I tell you that you have never heard anything like Top Fuel cars in your life, you have never heard anything
Yeah.
like Top Fuel cars.
Yes. Have you guys done like air show things?
Yes, that's not the same.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was at least like
No.
in the same
No.
ballpark.
Not
like
the
if
same.
a fighter jet dropped.
So I knew that going into this that Logan was probably going to be like,
Well, after the first pass, be ready to leave.
well, so I figured the first couple rounds would probably be a shock, but I figured he would relax eventually. So
Yeah.
we went to it. We were there on the Saturday. So they ran Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And Friday and Saturday are time trials and qualifying rounds for the Top Fuel guys. And Friday and Saturday are time trials, qualifying, and eliminations for everybody else. So much like Grid Life was to NASCAR at Road America or any other of these sort of events, there are the Top Fuel cars there, but there are also like we could have brought my dad's car and raced that weekend, and we'd have been there in whatever class the car falls into,
Right.
and so there was actually there were a couple of names, a couple of people who my dad has known in a previous lifetime, practically, that he used to race with. That like one of them. That was racing there in one of the lower classes. I don't remember what class it was. He was there. He was my dad's engine builder. He lives in Carroll, Iowa, which is just an hour away from here.
Yep.
And he was there. He had 2 cars fielded under his name and or under his banner, I guess, if you will. And yeah, we tried to go find him, but so. You've been to Topeka. We've talked about Topeka a little bit. The place is huge, right? It's massive. And drag racing is cool in the fact that you can get right up next to all these trailers. And you can go. I mean, obviously they have an area where the pit is roped off to keep people a little bit back from the cars, but you can be 5 foot away from these cars,
Right.
And pro racing is as pro racing does. So all of them are in haulers.
Naturally.
Monster haulers. And
So it almost looks like a Grid Life.
no, so like the drift area,
Wait, there's the drift?
the skid pad
Oh.
where
Yeah.
drift happens at Grid Life, that was where all of the normies were.
Oh, really?
Because the pro stuff, the Top Fuel cars, the pro stock cars, the funny cars, and the dragsters, they fill up the main paddock area.
Oh.
And so, I mean, that place, it was packed. I mean, it was crazy full.
Then you pair that with the amount of spectators, too.
Right. And they filled up stands on both sides.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a big event. It doesn't feel that crazy because the place, like I said, it's so huge. But there were probably 10,000 people there.
Oh, for sure.
It was a well-attended event. Now, I wonder, as you alluded to, I wonder if the fact that we know this is the last NHRA event that's going to be held at Heartland Park drove that number up a little bit.
Probably a little,
but I don't think a remarkable amount.
No, I thought that was a pretty good attendance at those things.
It does. I've heard it as much as 50% of that track's revenue
is that event. I can see
and
that.
the way that these races work is that the track pays the sanctioning body to do an event there. And the track makes money by selling spectator tickets.
Makes sense.
Is basically what it boils down to. If I understand how this stuff works correctly.
I'll just assume that's how it works correctly, yes.
So, it seems a little backwards.
Kind of,
Because, like, for us, for an SCCA event or a Grid Life event, or whatever, we pay the track for the privilege of using the track. And the track is ours to do with as we please,
basically,
within rules.
Yep.
And spectator tickets are sold through Grid Life, or if they were sold through the SCCA,
Yep.
which obviously they just let you in.
Just driver.
But, and you just hope to be able to pay your track fee. But I don't think that's how that works at a pro level.
No, it definitely doesn't. I don't think so.
So, but yeah, there was the full TV regimen is there and the whole 9 yards. It was quite the spectacle. So, we paid for what they called VIP seating.
Like down in front? Like
So-
right next to the track?
So, we were on pit side.
Yep.
And so there's the huge grandstands that run down the track, like where we sat and watched drag racing last year. And then as you go towards the tower, so turn 14 to come back out onto the front straight is at the end of the big set of grandstands.
Yes.
And then you cross the road course, and there's another grandstand there that goes over to the main tower for the drag strip.
Yes.
We were in that.
Oh, that's
So, like, we were literally looking. If you sat in your seat and looked straight across the racetrack, we're looking at the burnout box.
yes.
And then you can watch, and it's set at like a 30-degree angle to the racetrack. So you can look straight down the racetrack and see it all the way to the end.
Yeah, those would be good seats.
They were really good seats. They were really, really good seats. So, but we paid a little extra for them.
As you do.
So we also got preferred parking because my dad's old and it's worth it.
It's always worth it.
Yeah, that's fair. I wasn't upset by it. The biggest drag on this was that it was legit 100 degrees.
Oh, yeah, it was super hot.
It was absolutely disgusting.
I was
out.
like, Hastings wasn't terrible,
And there's
but it was
no
hot
shade
then, too.
at all
No.
at Harlan Park.
Zero.
And, we got there at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And the first round of time trials for the Top Fuel cars was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh,
And by the time that the first round of Top Fuel time trials happened, my son, for sure, and even my dad and his friends and me too, had pretty well had enough. But my son, like, for sure had enough. He was done with that day. He was
vocal about it.
Yes. And the first Top Fuel car did the burnout, and that was loud and fine, whatever. But then I think the first one was a buy round. and he went by himself, so it wasn't even 2 cars.
Okay.
And my son immediately turned around to me, buried his head in my chest, and bawled for like 10 minutes straight. Just screamed, just crying.
Oh, man.
I mean, between the fact that he was overheated and very done with it, and then it startled him in a way that I don't think he was expecting.
So are you guys wearing like the big earplugs like what I have on right now, or do you have like little foam?
He had the big ones over his ears.
Okay. That would help.
So we just had the foam ones, and then you still had to put your hands over it.
Yeah, but like even the big ones. So that's just it. Like they do a good job of keeping the noise out, but then you got this big thing on your head. It's 100 degrees out.
But like in all reality, Top Fuel cars, yeah, they're loud, and like that's an experience. But dude, you feel it.
Yep.
Like it's felt as much as it is heard.
Yeah, it's like sitting next to a subwoofer.
It's crazy,
just all the way through your body.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an experience, dude. It's legitimately an experience that anybody who's a motorsports fan needs to go to.
For sure.
I mean, drag racing is fun because is a fun spectator sport because it's constantly changing. There's always new cars. There's always new things happening. There's lots of classes. There's lots of things to be interested in. The fan experience is really good because you can get right up next to them. All of the pro trailers had little boxes that you could pull hero cards, just like these CrowdStrike Racing ones, for every single driver. My son collected a whole bunch of those. There's a picture if you scroll through here. There was a display with the junior dragsters. No, go back one. Oh. There was a display with some junior dragsters. They weren't running junior dragsters this weekend, but some of the drivers had set up a little area and they had some cars there. Yep. And they were letting kids sit in them.
Ah, smart.
Yeah. And
heroin dealers.
So my son got to sit in a junior dragster, and then the boy so there were 2 of them there, and one of them was a bigger junior because so apparently when I was doing it, you had to be 8.
Yes.
And up. Now you can be 5. And
wow,
they have
so young.
they're the same length, but the younger, a car built for a younger kid, the driver compartment, I guess, the cockpit, if you will, I don't know, is a little bit smaller, and the seat can be moved as well as the pedals.
Oh, nice.
So the pedals are just like in my cars, the pedals were just they had 2 bolts, and there was just
like pins, basically.
Yeah, and you could just move them forward and backward wherever you needed them to be. And you brake with your left and gas with your right. Yep. It was a 2-foot thing. Because there's a steering column running right down the middle. So you can't.
Yeah, there's no moving back.
Brake.
Yeah, there's no moving back and
forth. You
can't
right foot brake.
Also, you barely even need to brake.
Yeah, no, you didn't at all, really. But my son sat he sat in the bigger one and couldn't reach anything. And then the little boy came over, and he was 7, just like Logan. And he asked if he wanted to sit or if Logan wanted to sit in his car. And so I picked him up and dropped him in the other car, and he fit in that one a lot better. And then they had hero cards too,
like of the small children
for the kids, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And he asked Logan if he wanted one that was autographed, which is just the most adorable thing ever. And so they ran over to the table, and he autographed one for Logan and gave it to him, and like Logan was really jazzed about it. And he says that he wants to do it. And my dad,
how did that go over?
My dad has literally just been waiting for someone to say go.
Yeah, I believe that wholeheartedly.
Like the amount of money that it costs to buy one of those is not an issue.
No.
He's literally just waiting for someone to say go.
Yeah, not for grandfather.
No.
He's been waiting 20 years for this.
Yeah. And neither one of us are convinced that Logan would do it as much as he thought he would do it in that moment. Because like I said, he's a giant pansy. He's super cautious. He's very he has to eat. You have to ease him into everything he does. He won't go balls out into anything.
Yeah, buying the car right now would be a mistake. Getting him in a car would be a good idea, but don't buy it.
So Mr. Beck, rest in peace, he told me at one point that he had gotten to do a couple passes in one of these at Eddyville because Eddyville had a car that they would rent you.
Oh.
So I need to find out if they still do that, because that's brilliant for a track.
Absolutely.
Because they can buy a car. They're
The first hit is free.
They're like $2,000 or $3,000 to buy a car, just a basic ass car.
Yeah.
Buy a used basic ass car with the stock 5-horse Briggs & Stratton. There's zero fucking maintenance to this thing.
Yup.
And you can spend $100 on a night, do 2 or 3 test and tune passes, and if your kid likes it, the track just made a ton of money on you for the next 8 years in entry fees.
Yup. It pays for itself
But like,
immediately.
it's really hard to swallow that $2,000 to $3,000 for a used chassis or $5,000 to $6,000 for a brand new chassis, just to find out that your kid doesn't want to do it.
Right.
And now you're stuck with a car and a kid who won't drive it.
Yep.
So I need to find out if Eddyville still does that. Because if Eddyville still has a car that you can rent, well, I mean, that's probably going to be a thing we're going to have to try.
Absolutely.
Which will be cool. So, yeah.
So what was his favorite thing about the weekend?
So we after we left, we're driving home, and I asked him what his favorite part of the weekend was, expecting him to say, sitting in the race car or whatever it was. And he goes, the pizza. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? A $4 slice of pizza was your favorite thing this whole weekend? The whole day?
Was it really good pizza?
No. It was cardboard with something representing cheese on it.
It has to be bad pizza if you're saying that.
Well, I mean, it wasn't the highlight of anybody's trip.
It shouldn't be.
Pizza.
No, it shouldn't be.
I mean, yes, I've eaten worse pizza. There's probably worse pizza in my freezer waiting for me to eat right now.
What's your go-to pizza?
For him?
No, for you.
For me? Not a frozen pizza.
Well, I mean, what's your frozen pizza go-to? Let's spark some controversy on the group.
I really
You have a pizza pizzazz.
yeah.
Okay.
I actually don't use it for the pizza that I eat anymore. I've kind of become a bit of a snob on that. I mean, I'll eat a Jack's if it's presented to me, but it's not what I want.
No.
Right? But
nobody buys that because they want it.
you buy it because you have a 7-year-old kid who likes pizza.
And you have $1.25 in your pocket.
You're not going to get a Jack's for $1.25.
What were the ones that were $1.25 back?
Yeah,
in
those
college?
don't cost that much anymore.
I assume
the
now.
Totino's ones that are square.
Those are.
They used to be $1. Now they're like $2 or $3, and a Jack's is like
$7.
$5 or $6, and a DiGiorno is like
the stuff. Well, actually, DiGiorno's
$9 to $12.
Hy-Vee does them on sale all the time for $5 once in a while, and then
So
usually
I really do like the DiGiorno croissant crust.
I liked it. Jess hated it.
I really like it, but
it.
you can't make it on a pizzazz.
No,
It doesn't work on a pizzazz.
nope.
So
Jess likes the stuffed crust, and I don't like. The
I
stuffed
do
crust.
love a good stuffed crust, but I've never had a DiGiorno stuffed crust.
I don't like the DiGiorno stuffed crust. It's like cheese made from powder. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't taste right.
My issue with DiGiorno is that I can buy a pizza for the same amount of money as that cost me. That's a better pizza. Like
Name your place.
Even Little Caesars is as good or better.
Yeah.
And cheaper.
You can do maybe not anymore. It's been a minute, but like you can get a $7 carry out on a weeknight from Domino's with a single topping.
Yeah,
that's dirt cheap,
and it's cheaper. That's a better pizza than a DiGiorno.
I agree. I know people that don't agree, but there are people that will argue in the group this week.
That's
about
a better pizza than a DiGiorno, and it's the same price or less.
I like Domino's,
and Domino's won't deliver to my house. So whether I'm getting Domino's or DiGiorno, I have to leave my house. So I'm not getting a DiGiorno.
I get DiGiorno for when I'm at home and don't want to leave to go to anything. So it's sitting in the deep freeze.
Yeah.
But if I do leave, yeah.
I don't have a deep freeze, so I don't stock DiGiornos at my house.
You need a deep freeze.
I don't have room for a deep freeze.
You need to make room for a deep freeze.
I don't need a deep freeze.
You need a deep freeze.
Why?
Because when someone's like, hey, you want this quarter of a beef?
That's not a thing that's ever been a problem in my house.
And then you're like, oh, that'd be great. Here is 300 pounds of meat for free.
My phone has never rang with that question.
It will now because it was been put out there.
I'll buy a deep freeze then, but
it's worth every penny.
Yet,
it's worth every penny.
As of yet, I have no need for it.
I promise you, when you buy a deep freeze, you're going to come back on the podcast and be like, "How did I go this long without a deep freeze?"
No, because I have no need for it, Robbie.
You do.
I don't. It's just more food I'm not fucking eating. It's more food I'm just stashing away and not touching.
You need it.
I don't need it.
It will change your life.
It won't do anything except cost me money in electricity.
No. It's fine. I'm thinking about my electricity bill now. Thanks, dick.
I have no need for it. I have no need for it.
You do.
I don't.
You do.
If it doesn't fit in the freezer attached to my fridge, then I don't need it.
I can't even fit pizzas in my fridge freezer.
Then you should empty out your fridge freezer.
No. They don't fit.
Oh.
It's one of the vertical ones, so they literally do not fit.
Oh, mine fit fine.
No, they're not.
You can only have one DiGiorno at a time in there. The Jack's ones you could, or the Totino.
Oh yeah, I suppose if I stuff it,
if
I stuff it in there all weird. But yeah, no, it does. It does not fit in the freezer.
I took the ice machine out because I don't have it plumbed into water, so I have room then.
That'll do it.
Yeah, I have no need for a deep freeze.
An ice machine on a fridge is not optional. It's a necessity.
It's not plumbed in.
I would plumb it in.
No, I don't want
That's how important it is to me. If that feature.
What are you using ice for in that?
Literally everything. You're drinking water without ice in it?
Yes, because it's cold.
No, it's not cold enough.
It's already cold. It comes out cold, Robbie.
Adam, this is just like the beer tent at the fair that advertises 27-degree beer. That beer is better than the 32 degree beer.
I don't want water that cold.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
It needs to be at almost freezing temperatures.
No, it does.
It does too.
No, that's too cold.
It tastes better. It tastes better.
No, it's too cold.
Ice and everything all the time.
No, I don't use ice at all, and it just makes things worse, Robbie. It just waters things down.
It is water.
Yeah, but
unless it's carbonated, but even then, Coke needs to have ice in it.
No, it doesn't.
It does too. It's better.
If it came out of your fridge, it's already cold.
It's better with ice.
That's ridiculous.
Do you keep glasses in the freezer?
You really want an answer to that question, Robbie?
Yep.
Because there's a glass in my freezer right fucking now.
Me too. I put glasses in the freezer too. So
mine's a root beer mug.
Well, yeah, the beer stein style. Yeah. You got to do it.
Obviously, I'm not an animal.
All right, we're on the same page.
I'm also a root beer fanatic.
There's that, yeah.
There's a $22 12-pack of root beer in my fridge right now. I'm not proud. It just is what it is, Robbie.
I remember when 1919 was 1919.
Yeah. It used to be. Now it's $22.
That's so much.
It's so much.
That's so much money. I legitimately was going to buy you a pack of that one time.
I refuse. I refuse to drink more than one can a day because it's so much money that it has to be treated.
It has to be a treat.
It has to be treated as a treat. Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. So
I do that with liquid deaths too, except on like really hot weekends.
My problem with 1919 is that like now I can't drink a can of A&W
or mug.
It's just not good. It's really ruined me.
Happens.
So
now that I got you on this food.
Anyway,
how did the rest of your drag racing weekend?
I don't know. A couple of highlights. So they had more basic classes, right? So you just pull a picture of it. There was actually a front wheel drive Dodge product there.
Front wheel drive Dodge class or just like
no. It was in one of the classes.
Okay,
and it was the slowest pass of the weekend.
It happens.
Yeah, it ran like an 18-second quarter mile or something. Just absolutely awful. But yeah, there was actually like an 80s Dodge Charger.
Nice.
So that was kind of funny. There were a couple of cars there that I think there might be a picture in here somewhere, but there were some of them that were, you could tell like they had been cars more like my dad's, where they had been turned into, they were steel body cars that had been turned into race cars, and then you could tell that there were cars that were fiberglass cars that had never been race cars or never been not race cars. I mean, obviously they're all tube chassis cars,
right?
But some of those people took a body and bolted it onto a tube chassis off of a street car, and some of those people took a fiberglass shell, and it was all aerodynamic and whatever, and they're just not as cool, man.
But they are.
They're not as cool.
Is that what I'm looking at right now? Is a fiberglass?
So that's a C7 Corvette.
Okay, that is a Corvette.
It's a C7 Corvette Roadster.
Okay,
but like, give me a couple more pictures here, Robbie. No, that one. So that is like an early 90s Grand Am.
Right.
And that used to be a Grand Am at some point. That was probably some high school chick's daily driver until she put it into a pole, and then he bought it and bolted it to a tube frame chassis. And that's way cooler than the car that was probably in the other lane that was probably some sort of Mustang or Camaro with a nose that was 12 feet long in front of the front wheels and was all arrowed out and fancy and slick. And it's just not as cool, Robbie.
I don't disagree. No, building it from not race car.
I realize that, like, so the other thing is that most of these were index classes.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
Meaning that they can only go so fast.
Oh, okay.
And all of them were bracket racing, not heads up racing, which means that those fake ones that are all arrowed out and looking fancy to try and reduce coefficient of drag so that they can push through the air another mile an hour faster is fucking waste of time.
Uh-huh. And money.
So just make it look cool.
Or make it go 9,000 RPM. It's fine.
Oh, they all do that, Robbie. They all do that. There was no lack of high RPM here. Good. For sure. So there was one class that it was an index class. So there's 3 different kinds of drag racing, basically. There's heads-up racing, which means you all leave at the light at the same time, and whoever gets to the other end first wins.
Yep.
That's what everyone thinks of as classic quintessential drag racing. There's bracket racing, which is a style of racing I wish we could figure out a way to replicate on a road course because it's by far and away the most budget-friendly option, which means that you go out there and you make a few time trial passes to try and get a feel for how the track is that day, and then you try and guess how fast you're going to go, and the person who guesses closest to it without going faster wins. And it doesn't matter whether your car runs 9s or 19s, you can win no matter what.
Yes.
All you have to do is be good at guessing.
I like it.
And then there's index classes where everybody has to run the same time, and whoever runs closest to that time without going faster wins.
Interesting.
Index classing is the worst.
That sounds...
From a spectator point of view, index classing is the worst. And the reason that that's the worst is because most bracket racing cars and all heads-up cars, they're flat out as fast as those cars can go from start to finish.
Yep.
Most of those index cars, so like they had a class that was an 890 index, I'll bet most of those cars flat out will run low 8s.
Okay.
Which is way faster than they're allowed to run.
Yes.
So they all launch, get 60 foot out, and then and they stutter like they're against a rev limiter or something because they have what's called a stutter box in there.
Yep.
And it will pull power, pull fuel. I don't know what it exactly does for however long they need to adjust that, and then the car takes off again.
What?
To the end, to the finish line.
That's weird.
And it's stupid.
Why wouldn't they just like get to a certain point and then coast?
Nope.
It's
all done electronically with a stutter box. So they
That's
launch
like the worst nanny ever.
They launch the car, wham, as hard as they can, and then they get 60 foot out, and the car just like dead stops, just pop, 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 and you can hear it, and then all of a sudden, poof, it's gone again.
Weird.
It's dumb. It's stupid to watch. In my mind, I could never do it as a racer because I feel like some people hate bracket racing because heads up is the only way it should be.
Fair.
But at least in bracket racing, you're still going as fast as that car will go.
Right.
Now, whether that's real fast or not is up for argument. And I can understand the purity, if you will, of heads up. Who's the fastest motherfucker on the property?
Right.
I understand that, but like from a budget point of view, bracket racing makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. And they stagger their starts, so the slower car will leave first. So in a perfect scenario, they both cross the finish line at the exact same time.
Right.
And so like there's the chase in both lanes, either being chased or doing the chasing. That's exciting
Yep.
to watch. It's exciting as a driver. I get that it's not quite heads up racing, but it can be interesting. But index class, that's not what they do.
No.
They both leave at the same time. They both cross the finish line at about the same time. So yeah, okay, that's like heads up. But they do, and like, dude, I feel like as soon as my stutter box hit, a part of me would die every time.
You mean like a auto blip?
No, I don't feel like that's. I don't feel.
I
like,
took that out, by the way.
I know you
I don't
did.
trust it.
I saw it sitting on your table, but I don't. That's not at all the same.
No, it's not.
I just feel like
no, that stutter box. That's like that step beyond nanny. That's a crutch. That's not a nanny. That's a crutch.
I just don't understand. Like, I mean, I guess, GLTC, almost every car there, a lot of those cars are wildly detuned to
For sure.
But like, so then detune your car so that it runs 890s.
Yeah, right. That's what I thought you were going to tell me, like that they would have a different tune for 890 or would coast. That made sense to me.
No.
The stutter box, I don't like.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
And then I feel like from a spectator point of view, which I understand that it can't work this way, but like from a spectator point of view, it would be better if their stutter box hit at the end of the racetrack.
Yeah.
Because they do it like they're barely out of the gate.
Yeah.
And then the car just like, and they launch hard. They launch just as hard as anybody else, which seems like a total waste to me.
Yeah. It also seems like it'd be extra hard on shit.
I don't get it.
It's
very upsetting to me. But I feel like a part of me would die every time that stutter box hit because I know this car will go, 18s and it's doing 890s instead. And it's doing that because I've programmed a computer to slow it down for 0.6 of a second before it lets me go again.
Yep.
I don't like it.
And you shouldn't.
So that's really upsetting to me. I don't know why. It just
I'm
really
with
grinds
you.
my gears.
Sounds like it grinds theirs too.
Maybe a little bit. So the other thing that was kind of cool that I've never seen at a national event before, either on TV or in person, because I've been to a couple of these. So, are you familiar with Streetcar Takeover, the group?
Yeah.
Based, I think it's built around kind of around the like 1320 video crew.
Yeah.
Where they're racing street cars at drag racing or at drag strips. They're the cars you see on YouTube. They're big turbo Camaros and Corvettes and GTRs but they're street cars. Well,
you didn't take any pictures, did you?
No, I didn't take any pictures of street cars. But they have a class like Streetcar Takeover has joined with NHRA and runs a class at a lot of the NHRA national tour events. And so they got to go out there and make a bunch of passes with their cars and they're allowed their own rules and they get to do whatever, however their system works. And it's kind of an exhibition class and they're all paddocked together so people can go and see these cars. And that was kind of interesting. They had one there. They had a GTR there that apparently made like 1,800 all wheel or something stupid. And it was a brand new build. And they ordered a cage for it, and the cage showed up for a Nissan Altima or something like that instead of a GTR, and so they couldn't put a cage in it. And you can't go that fast without a cage,
right?
And so what they were doing is they would leave hard, and they'd run that car like out to the 8th, and then he'd
slam on the
brakes, and so he'd launch the car and he'd run it through the 8th mile. And then he'd ride the brake all the way through and was still running mid-9s on the brake.
Does that not defeat the whole purpose?
Well, because I do think it's kind of funny. We did this when we went to that Pontiac race last year too. It was like they say, "Oh, you can't go a certain speed without a certain level of safety equipment."
Yeah,
great. Couldn't agree more with that. Now, obviously, you can run any level of safety equipment above and beyond what you know.
Of course.
You can run the safety equipment required to run 4-second passes if you're running 12-second passes. There's nothing that says you can't do that. But, like, you can't go faster than this unless you've brought your car up to this standard as a minimum.
Yes.
But if your car isn't at that standard as a minimum, as long as you let off, you're fine.
Yeah, that's what's so
And
weird
that's
to me.
dumb.
Because, like, you're still launching just as hard. You're still doing all of that. And
So, like,
it's still
if that
fully
guy's
capable.
if that guy's going through the quarter in like a mid 9-second, and half of that track he was on the brake, that car had to have been doing close to 200 in the 8th.
A lot could go wrong at 200 real fast.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, that to me that just kind of defeats the purpose. Like,
I get that by the strictest sense of the rule,
He followed
didn't
the
break
rules.
a rule.
but it
I'm
it
surprised
didn't follow
that
the
they're
spirit at all.
like, I'm surprised that they're like, yeah, that's cool,
Yeah, totally. You meant,
and that's what they told us to do
I know what they did.
too. I mean, they didn't make a special exemption for him as an exhibition pass. He wasn't allowed to race with another car on track.
Yep.
He had to make solo passes, and he was not allowed. It was purely for the exhibition of being there.
Right.
But still, like,
All it takes is like one small failure to turn into a catastrophic disaster.
yeah.
So yeah,
So there was a Top Fuel bike class, and they run
other scary things.
supercharged nitro powered 4-cylinders, and there were only 4 of them.
Aren't those the ones that if you like blip the throttle,
Just
like,
the wrong way,
then they
the
explode?
the
Maybe put
cylinder
too
will exit the chat.
Yeah,
Yep.
like if it's either on or off, and if you kind of like feather it, it just like fills it with fuel, and then
yeah, they're crazy.
that okay,
Yeah. So there were only 4 of them, so there were only 2 pairs. So the first pair went through, and they looked like fast passes.
I would imagine,
but I don't know what's a fast pass for these, and I can't remember numbers. I want to say that they ran like 7s.
That seems fast.
The first 2 passes, like well into the 170, 170 range, maybe a little faster. And like, okay, that's scooting on a bike.
Yeah.
And like one of them, he got partway out there, and I think he started having some tire issue, and so the bike's like just moving across the lane, and I'm like, whoa. And then the second set got up there, and I guess there was one guy he's like the guy, right? He wins all the races.
Yep.
He has his leathers look like he's Spider-Man, and his helmet is Spider-Man. Everyone just calls him Spider-Man.
Okay.
Okay. And he apparently wins all the races. He holds all the records. He's the guy. He's the Top Fuel drag bike guy.
Okay.
And he did like a 480 at 230 miles an hour or something like that. And I was like, no.
His tires aren't even touching the ground. He's just a rocket.
I could not believe it, dude. There's no way. There's not enough money in the world to make me want to do that kind of speed.
No, bike.
That kind of
On a bike, absolutely not.
in that distance.
Bike drags terrify me. Well, it's like that Tomahawk, that bike that I think Dodge make or whatever.
Yeah,
that
the
would go.
V10.
It would go faster.
Theoretically,
Yeah, you couldn't theoretically top it out because it would blow the
right? You
the rider
You
off.
couldn't hold on,
No, I'm good. Not my thing.
dude.
Literally every day that Jess comes home from the hospital, she's like, "Yeah, we had a pretty awful trauma today." I'll give you one guess what happened.
Yeah, he was on a bike, wasn't he?
And I always say he was on a motorcycle.
I get
Yeah,
it, Jess. I'm not buying a motorcycle.
He was on a motorcycle. So just give up your crotch rocket dreams.
Fine. So yeah, it was fun. We did not originally. We had hoped to like stay there through the first round of Top Fuel, and then we were going to go watch them do the engine rebuild stuff, and then maybe watch the second round and then go home. We made it through the first round, and then we went home. It was just too hot. My son was done with it. My dad was done with it. His friends were done with it. We just went home.
Yeah. if you're standing in the sun, 100-something degree day,
If it had been 15 degrees cooler, we'd have been there for 3 more hours.
oh, for sure.
But it was just too much. It was miserable. You couldn't drink enough water. And bottles of water were $5 a piece.
Yep.
And it was too much. So
It's like going to the fair. How much is that? It's $8. That's the answer for everything. Everything is $8.
at least.
Yep.
Yeah. We didn't go this year.
It was good. It was good this year.
We go every couple of years. That's not a thing I need to do annually.
No, we went and watched.
Yeah.
Go every year, and then walked around, and then we saw Hairball because they were free.
Nice.
It was fun. Jess had never heard of Hairball. She's like, "Why is there so many people here?" It's like, it's for Hairball.
Hell yeah. I've seen Hairball.
Yep.
Hairball's a good time.
Yep. And she goes,
They're really into it. They do a good show.
Well, she asked like, "What the hell Hairball is?" I never heard of this, and I was like, "It's a
What's it sound like?
It's an '80s cover band."
They
She's
cover
like,
everything.
I was like,
And they
"There's people waiting in line for an hour for a free Hairball concert." I was like, "Yeah." So we venture over there at like 8 o'clock when it starts.
But
We're way in the back.
They do the costume changes and
They have
the whole night. Like it's a really well produced show.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
good time.
like pyros and all
Yeah,
this
hell
stuff,
yeah.
and like they come out and it was like a Def Leppard song. That's what they opened with or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's like fire and shit going everywhere.
Hell yeah, bro.
And I turned to her. I was like, "You see why people waited?"
It's really well.
we ended up sticking around for like an hour.
So we talked about this years ago. My dad has a buddy who has those big international limousines that they used to use as airport trans. Like, because back in the day they didn't have the jetways like they do now, and so like you would get on and off the plane on the runway, and they had these big like 12-row limousine type things that everybody would get in, and then they take you back to the terminal.
Yep.
And he owns 2 of those.
Okay.
And he runs them at Sturgis as
Nice.
a taxi service.
Smart.
Yeah. And this year he got to transport Hairball.
Fun.
So they were at Hairball, or they were at Sturgis
Sturgis.
last weekend,
Yep.
and then they were here this week.
Yep.
So
No, I mean, good on them for doing the free show. I mean, that was
yeah,
super
I think
cool.
they do a free show every year.
Yeah, that's what I said. Jess goes, "I would have paid to see that." I was like, "Yeah, I swear they're in Des Moines at
I
least
have
once a
paid
year
to see them.
Yep.
So,
I would. Yeah.
So
Because I was convinced that they weren't on the free stage last time.
it's way better than most people probably preconceive it to be.
for sure.
Cover bands generally aren't a thing that.
That you wait in line for.
Right. Yeah, yeah. The Hairball's good. Hairball's
it's
a
a-
good time.
it's an
I know
experience.
my parents have seen them more than once.
Oh yeah.
So
I've seen them. I want to say it was one of the times they were at the free stage at the fair years ago.
Yeah.
And I saw it like we didn't stick around, but then yeah, this year we stuck around.
we saw them
fun.
at the Hard Rock in Sioux City.
Nice. Good times.
Yeah. So go to a Top Fuel event.
Yeah.
Go to Hairball.
Yeah.
Send Robbie your
God damn it.
your fancy DE VQ parts,
Yeah.
and tell me how wrong I am about my love for the DiGiorno croissant crust.
Nah, you're not wrong. We'll do a show again eventually.
See you next time.
Yep.